Hello, everybody. It's Marty the JavaScript Party. My buddy Rhett. A walnut for her. She was definitely in the mood for it. I have a small crack in it for her, which should keep her busy. There you go. But see, it's a little big for her. African greys are not the biggest of the parrots. They're probably about the size of a large pigeon, maybe. So definitely smaller than like a big Amazon or even a chicken, something like that. Probably, I guess they're about the size, a little smaller than like a crow or a raven. So that's that. Yesterday I did not make a video. I actually tried to make a video. I did some coding, but I wasn't recording. I was actually just talking into the screen. So um, I did not feel particularly good yesterday morning. I felt a little like I didn't feel bad. I just like couldn't quite think clearly. So um, so there's that. Anyway, so I had started to implement like this table and like a list and a mat table. Um, I'm starting to get the mat table. I find that I like my favorite way of coding is to like be able to sort of build this little pieces of it, kind of construct them, and then kind of put them together as they build out. That is very, very difficult to do with mat tables. Um, Mat tables are a little different because they uh, require like I think like three things be done in parallel, and it won't. None of it works until all of it works. So it's like hard to sort of build on it. Um, as you see that I did this mat table thing, and there's not doesn't seem to be any problems. But then if I reload this, everything's fine, right? So there's really no indication that there's a problem right now. And then if I go to my mat table page, the page where my table exists, dash entities, and we still don't have any issues, even though we have the mat table and all that. And then if I hit add viz. Okay, so yesterday I was getting like something in here when I did that. Let's try this. Oh, okay, so there we go. That's what I was getting yesterday. Um, this update failed, missing definitions, blah 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 blah. So add viz. Um, so it's upset, and it's actually pretty useful. Like this message here, it's saying that there's a missing definition for header, footer, and row. Cannot determine which column should be rendered, and then so that's I guess the general error, and then error missing definitions for header. So same thing. It just sort of so component update failed, missing definitions for, and then I guess this. So I guess this is just like some kind of message, and then it actually gives you the actual error, and it's basically identical, right? Missing definitions for header, footer, and row cannot determine which column should be rendered. So I do, if I remember correctly. So let's go to Angular material. And I'm kind of going to do this really slow for me because I really don't get enough practice with Angular material tables. Um, and generally, it's kind of like one of those things where I kind of just get it working and then I just move on with my life. But this is one time where I kind of want to stop and just really take a good hard look at how this works. Table, there we go. So when we look at our first example, right, we definitely want to do a more complex table, but let's just try to get it working to begin with. So if you look at this, we can view the code. And in our code, we're looking at the HTML here. So you have to define a data source and That's the thing. So one of the things I do know just from experience is that you almost never want to actually show your actual data source. You don't want to use the actual data source. And the reason you don't want to use the actual data source is because you almost always want to do some sort of filtering or searching or something like that. And so you only want to show the results of whatever operation the user has decided. So if the user said, "Oh, if you're going to provide a filter and you're going to say, I'm going to let them filter on ID," and so, or I'm going to let them filter on type or something like that, then you only want to show the filtered values. Otherwise, you don't actually want to change it. You want like the pristine data to be kind of separate. And I've always found, say, table records makes a lot of sense, and then filtered table records. So this is kind of one of those things where it's like I normally don't like to build sort of infrastructure before I need it, but this is one of those things where I just know it's going to be harder, a lot harder to do later. So I'm going to say this dot filtered table records is equal to this dot uh, table filter. And so that is actually going to use the table record to filter off of as its source. So I'm not passing it anything. So, and this is a little weird. Like I said, I don't like doing this in general because um, um, I don't like doing this because actually, what am I doing? I need to return. And the reason I don't really like doing this is because, I kind of like to do things as they're needed. And this is just one of those exceptions. Maybe in the future, I'll get comfortable enough with material table. Um, um, I'll get comfortable enough with material table to do it, but for now, um, I just don't feel comfortable with that. But I guess, and actually, I guess I should make it this dot table records because we actually do need the data. And then eventually we'll add like some sort of logic for applying the filter. Maybe. Yeah, I think that reads nice. Okay, so now looks like we need to set up a data source. And I like doing these on separate lines. I feel like I'm the only person in the world like this, but um, data source. And see, notice that let's see, I think it's filtered table. So this is wrong the way I did this. Let's see, filtered table records. And the reason it's wrong is because I did not put brackets around it. And this always blows my mind because it took me forever. I had been using these sorts of components and things like that, and I did not, for the longest time, I just was not aware what the significance of the brackets was. And basically, if the brackets are here, this is sort of a secret decoder ring information of, hey, this needs to map to a variable in the TypeScript. I don't think there's anything about being in parentheses that tells me that. It's just a lot of experience has got me that. So like if you only wanted to actually set the value, like if you wanted, like let's say we wanted to create a string, right? Like let's say they had something that was like the title, and you said equals. Oh, maybe there is a title. Hello world. So this is me telling it, hey, use the hello world string as the title. Now, technically, I believe you can also, I didn't even know there was a title. Um, you could do this, but it's like, I don't even know what that is. But then what you can do, and this is always very confusing for a lot of people, and gives you bad things, but you can do that. And so now it's saying calculate title. And here's the string I want you to calculate. But you could also say title, right? Like, or anything. You could say my variable, and then it's going to look for a variable in TypeScript to map that to. And that's what that's all about. And I have explained that to dozens of Angular developers that had a year, 2 years, 3 years of experience, and they were just totally unaware. And man, is it a life saver for them. It is just a game changing piece of information. All right, so let's see what we got going now. Oh, oh, okay. So it's just not. I don't know why sometimes it updates and sometimes it doesn't. But it looks like we're still having the same issue in this, and which makes sense because we didn't actually do any definitions. All we did was set up the data source. All right, so let's move on to a little bit more. So that just is a class. That would be fun. I probably should do a deep dive into these elevations and stuff like that because I think these are like the Z index. So what is in front of others and stuff like that. And then, that would probably be a good time. All right, so I wonder if you set up, if this is what they mean by setting up that, or if there's something in here. So I do think we do need, yeah, see how they have the displayed columns and it's position, name, height, and symbol, and then those map to position, name, weight, and symbol. Did I say height? Um, so we need something along those lines. So, and most times it's not, in most jobs that I've ever had, this is not particularly like as obvious as this. A lot of times this is like something that gets calculated in some kind of very, very abstract way. Um, so I think I'm going to go with the word display columns. I think that makes a lot of sense. Looks like somebody put a lot of thought into that name, display columns. And this is an array of strings. And basically the columns that we want to show are ID. I can't even remember. STID type. And I think JSON. I think we want to do JSON. I can remember. I think I can remember type in JSON. JSON. All right. So now we have our display columns, and I think that we is it somewhere in here in the HTML? Okay, so here I think this might be what it's talking about. It's like saying, hey, you didn't give me a header. It's kind of crazy though, because it's complaining about footer too, and they don't ever set up the footer. I don't think the footer is required. But anyway, so now in our table, we want to create a row, and it's a tr header row, and all that. And I don't find that particularly like It doesn't make like it doesn't just feel right to me. It definitely feels wrong. But I mean, I feel like rows to me are kind of tied to like iterating, but this is not displayed. Apparently, I misspelled that. And I've never really gotten like I know there's something funny about the way this little asterisk, like what that means. Displayed columns. I feel like that is actually a better name than display columns. All right. So where are we now? Looks like we are. So our error seems to have gone away. Like we don't have a table or anything. I think because all we did was define what that is and define what the header row is supposed to be and mat header row definition. I'm wondering if, yeah, I don't know. All right, so let's go to the next thing. And so it looks like what we want to do is for every column, we want to create one of these ng containers. And then we want the column definition to tie to the, and this just feels wrong to me. It just doesn't feel right. I'm not saying it is wrong. I'm just saying it just feels wrong. Um, all right. So we want to do that, something along these lines. And then I guess the definition that we want it to do is stid. Whew. And then I guess we want to call that ID. And I guess we should just say stid, which ST stands for space and time, in case you're wondering. And then what we do appear, what it looks like we do here is we do an assignment and we give it a name. So like behind the scenes, we're just magically tying the name of the row, the whole row, it looks like, to um, a name. So I'm just going to name this row. No, record. And then we probably should call it like st record, st record. And it's kind of weird that it didn't catch. I wonder. Yeah, I don't think you can. Yeah, you can't. It's kind of a bummer that you can't strongly type that. So it doesn't realize that this doesn't even exist. STID. Right. Uh-oh. Could not find a column with ID type. That is interesting that it didn't actually run into this problem until I added this. It just gives you something kind of to dig. Oh no. No, it looks like it already had that problem. Could not find column with ID. Oh, okay. So I guess. Oh, okay. So I think what oh, that's why it moved to type from ID. Okay. So what we want to do, I think, and I just want to, like, I'm just trying to understand stuff. So now I'm going to, cancel. Save the wrong thing. Control S. Um, so I think what it's saying is that I gave it 3 columns. That I told it I was going to update 3 columns, but I didn't. I only updated one. And before I had actually updated none. And then I didn't create the corresponding markup for it. Okay, so now we're happy. Happy. We still don't have anything, which is weird to me. Okay, so we have our row, we have our ID, we have our record, we don't have any errors. And I'm guessing filtered table. Okay, let's change that to filtered table. And the other thing that's really odd is like you do a lot of massaging and stuff to get it to work like this, but it's so wild because um, because this is very rarely have I ever worked in a place where we actually landed on this. Normally what happens is you have some sort of just regular HTML table. And then you decide, oh, you know what, we're going to do Angular material tables because they look nice. But then normally you end up going, oh, wait, we need HGrid or some other more robust tabular system. All right, so now we got a problem again. Okay, why? Okay, could not find a column with type. I thought we got rid of that. Did we get rid of that? Oh, oops. That was weird. Oh, there we go. We got something. Guys, we got something. We got something. Okay, but we didn't get any data. We don't have any rows. I would have thought we would have had rows here. And it is looking at the right thing. Hmm. TR, NG, TR. Oh, wait, there was one other thing. Yeah, there we go. Guessing this is the piece we're missing. See, it's so weird, right? That doesn't feel right. Like, these aren't two different rows. This is like two different ways of passing information in or something. I don't know. Let's see. Let row, row. Oh, okay. So I guess this is your single header, and then these are your rows. All right, so let's try that. Like I said, I've done this like dozens. There we go. All right, now let's go ahead and get our. Okay, let's undo this. It's kind of funny, because for me, like the very first time when I first started, like first started making videos, um, I did not like, I mean, the biggest reason I did it was because the job I had at the time had like the internet was just pretty much locked down. Like I had to use two computers, one for interacting with my teammates and bosses and stuff like that, and then one for actual work. And the actual work computer was provided by the federal government, and it was like locked down, and almost the whole internet like was not available. Like you just like you could go to Google, you could go to YouTube, but like I don't even think you could go to Stack Overflow. I mean, this shit was locked down, and um, so like I would make these videos so that I could refer to them from my computer, my government computer, um, because it was just so difficult to get information over. Um, and like I literally did not care at all if anybody ever watched one of those videos because it was just really for me. Um, but then I noticed that I really like understood things a lot better when I made a video. And like I could read it a lot better. So here we go, JSON. Here we go. I think that looks so cool. I think that looks really cool. Oh, yeah, I just think it looks really cool. So if I make this bigger, yeah, see, that's so nice. So I don't know. For some reason, it's blowing out the scroll bar down here, but let's get rid of this. And I don't know if I think it was in the lost video, the video that I did yesterday, where I kind of went on a rant about how like when you see a scroll bar like this, you have to figure it out immediately. That is like I think every QA person, okay, so we have no scroll bar here. Okay, so I think that's okay. Um, maybe not. Maybe we want to make our mat table. It's the mat table, right? Inspect mat table. Let's see. So min width is 100%. Let's see, max width. What do I guess we want min width 95%. Max width 99%. No, I just don't even know what is, because it's definitely in here, right? So for some reason, it's just blowing it out. Probably want to make this smaller. So let's go ahead and get rid of these actually. Because that min width I think is probably, I believe it's calculated based on whatever it's inside of. So let's see, width is equal to 300, no, 800. What is it? 749, I think it said. So let's go 700 px. Okay, so and then position equals relative. Hmm. So it's kind of weird that it's not holding, it's not containing it. It's not particularly unusual, but like, let's see. Okay, so for some reason, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Um, but when we made the position absolute, that went away. Oh, and that's just because it changed the way the it changed the way that the scroll bars behave. The scroll bars ignore things that are out, like when it blows it out. I don't know how to make that in there. It really surprises me. I felt like I've fixed that like a million times too. Material table inside of a div but the table is bigger than the div. Is div. Is there a way to constrain that? Constrain the mat table so that it stays inside of the outer div. Okay. So it's saying this mat table container needs overflow auto. So I guess we do. Okay, so they're setting the max. Dude. So they're setting the max width, right? And then I don't even want this one anymore. And then overflow auto. Oh, okay, I see what it's saying. I think they're saying that the table itself, which I think this is preferable to most things. As opposed to like the whole thing having a scroll bar. But I think the more common solution to this is, and I'm trying to remember this, is, do I still have, I still have overflow auto on this one. I think the more common thing on this is to take is it that I guess what we want to do I think a very common thing to do on this is to take this one, or maybe it's this one up here. Like generally what you would typically, yeah, okay, so okay, now I'm starting to remember. All right. What we do is this, change this, and then uh, well, okay, one thing we can do is we can change this to hidden. And so now it's gone, right? The scroll bar is gone. Everybody's happy. You can see everything. I don't know why it's just barely bigger than the space around it, but the problem is gone. And that has been the solution that I usually see get applied to deal with this specific issue. Now, did we set the width? I think we must have set the width. No? So it is, I guess it's holding that size, which this is kind of a bummer, right? Because it's just like you can't see everything. But like for some strange reason, like for some strange reason, like here, it's just like barely bigger. And then, I mean, and see, it says the minimum width is 100%. What if I get rid of that? No. Um, Okay. Okay. Is there a way? So the width of the table. Like, see, they don't have any scroll bars. So, I mean, I'm guessing that they've done, well, it's probably held in here. This thing has a scroll bar because it is actually wider, but this one does not. Okay, so it seems like my table is like barely wider than the space below. Um, to keep space, and that is causing a scroll bar that I don't need or want. And I guess it's useful to tell it that it's a horizontal scroll bar. Okay, so this is good to know. So in my CSS, it's saying to do this, but I didn't, but it thinks that I set up the table differently, I think. Yeah, see, well, no, that's still in CSS. Um, okay, so it's saying that over here, if I come into here, it thinks that if I come into here and I do this, paste that in there. But the thing is you can also, like, you could also, instead of this, I guess what we can do is we can just set a table and then table. So you can do it that way too, right? Like this is another way to do it. I don't really know, like, have like a big feeling about that. All right, so now it was saying, hey, you could do like this little, and I guess there's no reason to do that. Let's go ahead and put this inside of here. I think in yesterday's video is when I figured out um, or when I was worked on like pushing the content down so that the table isn't behind there, and unfortunately didn't actually record that video. All right, so we still have it, and they were saying, well, why don't you do this? Order one px solid and red. You might want to make it white, but okay. So there is what's going on, and see if you see it, you can actually see that there. It seems like there's, well, no, maybe not. I thought there was a little extra space there, but maybe not. All right, so let's see what the next thing is because that did not work. Um, ooh, I don't think I can do this. Okay, I don't know. Okay, now it's saying the table container. Oh wait. First, make sure it doesn't see. Second, okay, so I'm not using older version. Okay, okay, so let's just fix that. Okay, I am using Angular 21. New material table. Okay, so it's saying, wait, if your table if your table container is inside a flex layout, you must also allow it to shrink. Okay, so I don't know. I don't think I can. I think this has to go in styles. I don't think you can do it in here. I think it'll get like it tweaks the names of classes and stuff um, to prevent bleeding outside of components. All right, so um, styles file opposed to within the SCSS file for the component. And then I guess I need to tell it what this is. Okay, it works in the if it's in the, oh, okay, so I think, oh, okay, this was my wrapper was, table container was not there, so we call this wrapper. Okay, so there was a bit of a, so that didn't fix anything. Um, okay, so apparently that one, this needs to be flex. Okay, so this is what I have right now. And I'd never, ever, 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 ever do this. Never, never, ever, ever. Um, I have seen so many nightmare scenarios come out as a result of the host because that will likely bleed out into the rest of the application. And you can get some really bizarre UI errors from doing that. So I avoid that like the plague. So current CSS. No, is wrapper inside of flex container? I don't think so. Okay, wrapper is not inside. Flex container. The top HTML, top element, the component. Okay, so you have, okay. I was going to copy that. It's like, okay, so I want table to be 100%. But nothing about the width. Let me go over here before I hit save so we can see if it fixes it. Oop, all it did was get rid of the. Okay, now. Correct fix or keep the word. Best long-term fix recommended. So it's saying, put this in my styles, CSS. See, this is the kind of thing that like when you work at a place, then like you'll like they may already have that there. So then you when you try to work on your own personal projects, you're like, wait, why isn't mine working like at work? I worked at this one place where we had like I don't know. I think there was some sort of like um um there was some kind of like cultural issue. They were all from the Dominican Republic, and like for some reason, like so the organization had hired them initially, and then they decided that, you know what? Well, first they hired Americans, and they had a bunch of Americans, and it went, the project had failed. And then they hired a bunch of people from Chile, I think, or something like that. This was way before my time there. And they tried it again, and the whole thing failed. And then they hired another group, a whole another team from the Dominican Republic. And it was, they had built like a huge, massive application. I mean, it was really nice. I mean, freaking nice. But they had created thousands, or at least hundreds, of directives. And basically, when you coded this thing, it was nothing like coding any other website you've ever seen in your life because, like, none of the markup worked the way you would expect it to work because it was all taken over by um, directives, like, so they had created a whole different HTML language, basically. All right, so let's see. This is what I currently have in styles. Guess I should tell it. I guess I don't need to tell it. Yeah, I'll just show it everything. So this is what I have in my styles. I don't even remember doing this. Warn button. 6 months ago. Implement visualization, delete. Okay, so this is what I have in styles. It is fun working on your own projects with ChatGPT because, like at work, I do not feel comfortable pasting code directly into ChatGPT because it's not my code, right? I wrote it, but it's not mine. It's the state of Georgia's code, and so I don't feel like I have a right. Uh, Internal styles that can slightly due to display table column. The real fix. All right, so let's go back over here. Does not even vaguely surprise me that that is like one of the things I think that with time I have see, I don't think this will work. Um, I think this also needs to be in my styles. I'm gonna try it, but I don't think you can actually use like naked styles like that in Angular because it does this. I can't even remember what the word is, but it's like really awesome. Like it doesn't want styles from inside my component to leak out of the component. Wrong again, eh, Ron? Okay, so apparently I could do that. Let's see, can I do this? Curious. Okay, so if I do this, it comes back. Yep. And then what if I do this? Man, so gosh, and that's kind of bad because I told at work I was like, they were like, oh, let's change this in here, and I was like, I don't think you can, but maybe you can. No, I mean, it used to be that you couldn't actually hit naked styles like that, styles that haven't been modified, um, unless you were in the styles directory. Although the reason I was pushing for what I was pushing for hasn't changed. So, because the main reason I was pushing for is I just wanted to have the we're making styling changes, and I wanted the styling changes to be to like be in a place where we like know why we did that change, and if anyone ever asks in the future, we'd be like, oh no, we're doing that for this reason. So, but we're about to make massive numbers. Okay, so you can't do it in there, which is wild to me because it was inside. I think it's inside of a table, but it must not. It must not be in a table when they redraw everything. I'm curious. I think it was called. What was that thing called before? This is just me trying to. Okay, so let's go back to mat table like that. Oh wait. Oh yeah. Yeah, I was surprised that it broke. Okay, and now what if I make this mat table? I guess I don't want it capped. Okay, so that still didn't work. Now I'm curious, okay, if I do this. Yeah, I don't, for the life of me, understand why this is, why this works, but the one up there doesn't. But I will say that, like to me, ooh, didn't, it was fixed before, right? Table. Let's Control Z. Okay, that's weird. But I don't know. I don't know exactly why that worked, but I will say that this, like, you kind of have to like, you sort of have to pick your battles, like on what you're going to, like what rabbit holes you're going to go down, so that in the future life is a little less confusing, and then what kind of things you're going to be like, there's some sort of weird implementation or some sort of implementation detail that I'm not aware of that like I could spend all day long digging into this, but at the end of the day, it won't really help me at all. And it's very difficult. And sometimes you skip things that you really should have dug in, and there's other times that you should have dug in. Now, it's weird though that now, because of this change, all three of these are the same width. So that sucks, right? And, and I will say that what happens if I do this? Oh. So I will say that this is a perfect example of like you're gonna just have to make a report. You have to sit down and you have to do screenshots and you say these are our choices. We don't have a good choice. If we're gonna use Angular material, we're stuck with this, right? And one of the one of our choices is to well, I'm curious. Let's try this. Okay, so the problem goes away if we do that. So what if I do this div? And then we go style width is equal to 200 px. So now we can choose our width. So this is another option, and we do lose the scroll bar, which is kind of nice. Although it does seem to get like seen. So it's not showing everything though. Right, like it's getting cut off on that one. So let's add a margin. And I will say that this, you spend a lot of time doing stuff like this. 20px. That's so interesting. It doesn't seem to be affecting the right side margin, right? Like, so I'm going to say 0. That's the height, top, and then 20. These are the widths. $50px. So what's weirding me out is how over here it's getting cut off. What if I say 0 and 0? So that's just saying only add a margin to the right side. Ah, see, we can see more, but it's wild because that is huge. 100, so half of, oh, actually it's cutting a bunch of stuff off and it was on camera as well. So I didn't even realize that. All right, so let's go ahead and get rid of this style. Oops. Yeah, this is such a big part of developing in Angular material, especially with the tables. Well, really with everything is like you don't really own anything. So 200. So what if I also, well, let's try smaller. See, and like all it does is give this extra space. Okay, so I'm going to make this smaller. So I wonder, I guess we should, before we get too far down, I wonder if there is a way. Is there a official way to set the width of each table, of each column? Okay, so wait, Angular to, no, yes, and with Angular, there's a clean official way. For a special API, official way to use mat column. So it's saying that like they create one and you just have to know it. And okay, so this is my, so if I wanted this to be, I want this one to be 100 pixels. Okay, so 100 pixels. And I feel like this work that I'm doing right now is work that does not get calculated and is difficult to explain. Um, um, Important, very important. This is your component. Okay, so for now, okay, so I'm just gonna get rid of this and I'm gonna paste that CSS into okay. And then let's just play around with this now. 200. Okay, yeah, so that's working. So 50. 70. So this is one of the things that would be really hard for a new, like if you're coming in brand new on a team, or if you're bringing new people on, like knowing where the heck these crazy column, like if you did a search, like how would you even know? I guess that's why we have cons. So this class is generated by Angular material. So like searching what? So not yes. So searching won't um, won't help. There we go. Yeah, that would be very confusing, I think. Okay, so I think the other one is called type. And it's going to need to be a little bit wider. And now that I think about it, what I've seen a lot is, I kind of like that though, but maybe a little bit bigger. Oh, there's like a white space thing that I probably need to deal with. Okay, 190. Just make sure it's doing anything. Okay, 120. We're kind of basically doing like an interpolation. All right, so that's pretty cool. Now, JSON. So what I found with these sorts of really long, well, so that just gives everything left over to that. So I think we don't want to set the width. I think what we want to do is just, okay, so I have one very long line of text. One very long line of text. How can I? Okay, white space, no wrap, word break. Okay, that's what we want to do in here. I think. I just want to see it. Okay, so that's kind of cool. It is weird that it's wrapping in like, it would be kind of nice, and this is such a rabbit hole, but it'd be kind of nice if, so now I feel like we don't even want any of these other two. What I found a lot of times with really long stuff is a lot of times they'll just want to like break in. I guess we could set the width. They'll want to break like ellipses, like have it overflow to ellipses, and then when you mouse over, you can see everything. Or maybe you mouse over and you click on it, and it pops up something so that you can. Width is equal to 300 px. I think it's min width is probably what we want. Min width. Okay. And then, so it's breaking in weird places. Is there a way to like, I wonder if there's a way to make it break on like commas. You make it break on commas. Oh, I think it might have actually told me that right here. Oh, okay, so you can, even without spaces, is, oh, wait. White space normal, overflow wrap anywhere. Okay, let's try that. This one, never seen that in my life before. Happens every day. And I wonder if we even need to set the width anymore. So that didn't do it, right? Like that didn't do anything. Okay. And then, yeah, that was like, it's still, because I don't have any spaces, so it doesn't know what a word is. Okay, so I guess that's what I need to do. And I guess what I need to do is, okay, so I have this JSON stringify record. Okay, so I have this code. Um, I think I need to add spaces to the JSON result. So this is what I think the fix is. I'm not 100% sure on this. There might be better solutions out there. And if there are, this is the time I want to learn them. Pretty print the JSON. Oh, wow. This may be a much better way to do this. Oh my gosh. And then I probably don't want wrapping. I probably actually want it to show as code. Oh, wow. Now that is worth learning about right there. Right there, my friends. And let's see. Let's see how this looks. Okay, so it doesn't seem like it did it, but let's inspect this. Move in here. Oh wow, I made the width is only 200. So it does have spaces now, whereas I don't think it had spaces before. Um, that's pretty nice. So I was kind of surprised it's 200. Why is it 200? Right? Like when we looked at this. Oh my lord. Lurdy, 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 lurdy. That's so funny. I was sitting there changing that, going, it's not working. It's still small. Oh yeah, that is so much better. All right, and I don't think I need this div. Div. So yeah, that advice I was giving to make a report to show all the different things and what you're gonna, that's all. I was wrong. Wrong. So I think the solution is, and I'm glad I did this nice and slow and easy, um, so that it's easier for me to remember. I think the secret sauce was to make this text more breakable so that it could, because I think without this, and I don't know if you need to, you probably only need one space. I don't know though. Let's see. See what happens. that seems better to me. I can't quite put my finger on why that seems better, but it sure does seem better. And I don't think I want this console log anymore. And then I don't think I need this anymore. And what was the null? I don't remember what the null was for. I'm curious. No replacer. Oh, okay. Oh, so we could have put like an and non-breaking space or something like that. Yeah, I like. Oh, and then pre. I do like that. Okay, let's try that real quick. See what happens. I don't know. It might not be. It felt like it was. Well, you can't tell, I guess. Okay, so now we're putting our div back in. Well, no, I don't. We don't need to do that. Do that in here. So this is our JSON, and basically we're saying we want to. Oh, pre. So they're saying add this, and then. Oh, okay, white space pre-wrap. Okay, so maybe instead of what we're doing here, well, first of all, do we even need this anymore? I'm curious. That was wild that that caused a full. Yeah, so it doesn't actually seem like we need that anymore. So let's try this though. Okay, yeah, I like the other way better. I mean, I do. This is nice too, but hmm, actually, I like the way the other one looks better. I like the actual functionality of this better. I feel like this is a little bit, well, I don't know. I don't even know if it's right, more readable. Let's try this. So the pre-wrap is what does that. Oh, I guess maybe it's the, no. Yeah, so we didn't need that. Yeah, I feel like that's better. I mean, I definitely better is weird. I like the way that one looks better. It's a better way of putting that. This would be like, so this page would be a dev only page at least at this point. But like, so we probably want to leave. I don't know. I don't know because you could see more stuff vertically this way. So I just don't even know. Anyways, so there is that. So we are done with this part. We got rid of all of that stuff. And I guess it'd probably be better if this one was a little wider, but it probably will work itself out as these numbers get bigger anyways. I don't know. Let's just leave it as is right now. Maybe we'll go back. I'm sure we'll do more styling. Maybe not. Maybe not. Who knows? But the next step is I want to have a second column. I don't know why it's always so hard for me to find the example I want. This, a table with an expandable row. Um, so that we can click in. Now this one only lets one open. I think that's something that they coded into it. I believe there's a way to have it to where you can have multiples open. But yeah, so this is the next step and I'll start working on that tomorrow. I will say that like I probably spent most of the time working on this on like tweaking the look, the style, the layout. just so that and and not nearly as much time as you'd think coding, like traditionally coding. And that's like the thing is that I don't think that we do a very good job when we're estimating time on that the time that I spent adding and removing styles and stuff like that. And then when you look at the final code, like there's so much code that isn't there that we used to work up to this, and now it's gone. Um, like all those styles and all that stuff we learned about classes being automatically created and stuff like that. Anyways, yeah, this video went way too long. I find that to be sort of the standard when I'm working with Angular material, is that I always have a hard time estimating the time that things are going to take. It always ends up taking longer than I imagine it. Even I didn't even think I'd spent an hour and 16 minutes now, on it. But anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.